In today's video, we are going to demo, compare, and contrast 4 different wire bending options so you can decide which one is best for your shop. I bend a lot of wire here on the channel. If you've been around for any amount of time, you know that. And there are a lot of options out there to choose from. As I mentioned, we're going to look at 4 of them today. All are from Barlow's. They'll be linked down below as usual. We'll do a quick demo, show you how they work, give you the specs on each one. Sometimes there's different varieties that you can buy within each one. Some are really dedicated to one kind of thing, one kind of approach. Others are a little bit more versatile. So see which one you like. I'll be curious to hear what you think down in the comments. The first one we're going to take a look at is the Dubro Lure and Leader Twister. So this is the smaller of the two. There's actually 2 of these Dubro twisters on the Barlow's website. As I mentioned, this is the Lure and Leader Twister. I actually had the larger of the 2. It was the Dubro bucktail twister, and it was made for thicker wire. I was doing real heavy stuff. You could do musky stuff with that. But this is the smaller one. Both of them run $90. The Lure and Leader Twister that we're going to look at today can do 29 to 39 or 40 size wire. The bigger one, the Dubro bucktail twister that I used to have, that can be like 51 to 62 size wire. So depends on what you want to build as to what you're after. As I mentioned, we're going to look at the smaller one today. And by smaller, I only mean it can do smaller wire. The actual apparatus is about the same. I remember these pieces being pretty similar. So you've got this piece here, that's going to clamp down inside the vise. Then you've got your twister rod. It's got a small pin right there at the very end. That's going to be critical because it's going to be what grabs the wire as it comes around. Got a Allen wrench, and then comes with an instruction sheet. All right, this guy goes into the vise with the post towards the back and the little set screw towards me. So we'll go ahead and clamp him in nice and tight. The wire we're going to use today is 035. Going to use the same thing for everything, so you kind of see how the same wire works in all of these. It'll be linked down below. I get that from Barlow's as well. An important part of this unit, there's a raised edge all the way along there. See that? That's going to be what holds the wire in place as we push it and create our barrel twists. So we want to start by putting our wire perpendicular to the unit right up against this post, and after that raised section ends. There's a little slot right here. From there, we want to take our twister unit and slide it over the post, and then pull our wire back so that it's underneath or just beyond this blue section here. So from there, remember that little post that's underneath of the blue? That little guy right there. He's going to grab a hold of this wire end and then push against. So now we've got a bend. See, the other end here is still out, and now we've pushed it against that flat piece. So from there, we're going to reposition our twister. So we want to pull that off of the post, keep the wire where it is. Remember our little nubby guy there? That's going to go on this side of that angle. We've got that angle there. We want it on this side because we're going to push and twist this wire against this post. So we put it in with the nub on my side, and we're just going to push down and pull around so that we're spinning that wire all the way around. Now right here, it's going to run into that other wire and actually go underneath. So you want to pull that up with your fingernail or a pair of pliers, or I don't know, anything you got, right? Screwdriver. Just kind of pull. Oh, sorry, you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm using my fingernail. I'm pulling that up so that it goes up and over the top. Now that little nub is going to run into this edge. So we want to let it raise up just a hair so that we can keep turning all the way until you get a 90-degree bend. Take the twister off, And this is what you are left with. So from there, we need to now make the barrel twist, which means we need to use the other end of this unit. Let me show you. So it's the side with the set screw. This is the set screw here, and then there's a little post. You see that little opening right there? That's where our wire is gonna feed down through. So we're gonna feed our wire down through this. The long end here goes into there, but we wanna make sure that when we do so, this side, see where the bend, that bend is on this side facing you all, not this side where it's on my side. We want that side with the tag end to be against and underneath of this little post. So we'll feed it down through there. There's the tag end on your side, and we're going to push that right up against the post. From there, grab our twister again, only we're going to use this end. We're going to put it inside of our loop and start to twist. Just like that. You can push down a little bit if you want. Get 3 or 4 twists. Pull it out. Biggity bangity boom. A very nice little barrel twist. Obviously we've got a tag end to cut off, and there's your final product. Snip that off, push the little tag end down with some pliers. Super freaking clean. So this unit, super nice if you're really into just inline spinners, and I can speak from experience, it does a really nice job on the thicker wire especially. First impressions for me, I probably would go with a different unit if I was just gonna make like trout spinners, bluegill stuff, but if you wanna make bigger inlines or bigger spinners, this is a great option, and it's pretty simple to use once you get the hang of it. All right, next up is the Lil Blue Bender. So it comes in a bag like this. Lil Blue Bender. Comes with instructions, just like the other one did. This one is made to mount onto a surface, so your workshop or whatever. I didn't want to do that, so I just mounted it to a piece of wood, and then I'll clamp the wood onto our work surface. But here's what it looks like. Pretty simple. Mounts down here, and you've got some set screws and some, some gaps there that are going to control our bend. This guy, you can see how that twists because the lever is on the other side. While the Dubro was made specifically for barrel twists, right? Inline spinners, this guy is a little different. He's made specifically so you can make your own spinnerbait wire forms, although you can actually make one other type of wire form with it, so stay tuned for that one. The other nice thing about this little dude is he is cheap. So if you want to get away from buying the pre-made spinnerbait wire forms and you want to start bending your own with whatever size and dimension wire you want, this little dude is only going to cost you 28 bucks. All right, so how does it work? Got the same wire here, 035. Going to use that, as I mentioned, on everything. We need to set it up so that our 2 posts in this spinning piece are almost perpendicular, and I got a wider post towards me with a smaller post away from me. We're going to place our wire through this gap between these 2 nuts and in between those 2 posts. The distance between here and here is how much room you want to go down into the mold from your R bend. So I've got about, I don't know, 1.5 inches or so past the metal. So once it's in there, just give it a little twist. That wire hits this other screw, keep going. Now the R bend is being created. Pull her out, and that's what you've got, a classic R bend. Now this smaller end, or the shorter end, is where you would put it down into the mold. So I'm going to flip it over, put that shorter end, reset this guy, and put the end of it just on the very tip. And I just want to curl that tip around. So now I've got an R bend that is ready to hook onto a hook eye. And there you go. All done. If you wanted to just make a spinnerbait form, You obviously have the customizability to make this as long as you want, all ready for the hook. Your blades would go up here. Good to go if you want, but you can actually put this guy back in to the little blue bender and make some buzzbait forms as well. So I'm going to reset our posts back to their starting position. I'm going to flip this over so our R bend is now going to hang off the end. The distance between here and wherever you bend is going to be the space available between the two wires for your blades. So if you want to use some big blades, you just pull that bad boy out a little bit further. Now we have more room between. If you want to use finesse size blades, you can push that guy in and there's going to be even less room. I'm just going to pick a roundabout spot like there and start bending. Pull it around. And biggity, bangity, boom, I've got myself a buzzbait wire form. That guy, I gotta admit, is pretty dang cool. If it was just for a spinnerbait, I probably wouldn't bother. But the fact that you can bend up your own buzzbait wire forms and you can make this gap as wide as you want, and of course, you've got the availability to use just about any wire that you want. I don't know what the minimum or the maximum rather is on this. Up to 0.4041. So plenty thick for any buzzbait that you want to make. And at 28 bucks, dang, that's pretty cool. All right, so while the first two were what I would consider kind of one-dimensional, not bad, just they have a very specific purpose, and there's one real main purpose behind each one of those tools. Now we're going to get into units that are a little bit more versatile. So what we're going to look at first is the Bogs Tackle Maker, and just like before, it mounts to your workstation, so I put it on that same block. Here's what it looks like. That's where all the business happens right there, the business end. This guy slides in and out, and on the bottom is that set spin twister, just like on our little blue bender. So this one's going to run you 110, but keep in mind it does the work that both of those did. So if you bought the Dubro and the little bender separately, you'd be at like 115 or so, which is a little bit more than this one. Got some notes here. I think they have 4 different kinds, right? 4 different options. I got the 32 to 40, which does wires size 32 to 40, but they also have kits for 18 to 22, 24 to 31, and even 41 to 51, that bigger, thicker stuff on the 50 side. Same wire here as before, 035 to stay consistent. First thing we're going to do with this guy is make a barrel twist. So we've got our 2 posts here in our spinning piece. So we're going to feed that up through those, go about an inch thereabouts. Go ahead and twist that guy around. It's going to get to right there and push it on in. There you go. Looks kind of like a little mini R. So now we want to reset our post, just push that guy out, because we want to flip our R around, put him back in, put a little pressure on the opposite side, and just bend it just a hair. There's what you get. Alright, so we take our bent wire, we want to put the long end down this slot. See the slot here? Long slot, there's a slot here right at the end, and then there's a shorter slot on the back. So we want to put that down inside of there. Put our round part over that post, just like that. Now this tag end, the shorter tag end, that's what goes in the other slot on the other side. So I'm going to spin it around, and as we push this forward, right, that is going to go right in and lock that little tag end in place. So with that all ready to go, now we want to spin this towards me. So I don't want to push it away like that. I want to turn it towards me. There you go. And you can play with how much pressure you want to put on it. the more pressure, the tighter the barrel twist, but also the more stress you're putting on the wire. So it's a, you know, you just kind of feel it out. There we go. 3 or 4 twists. Now we can pull that off. So you can see there, my first twist was maybe a little bit loose, but the rest of them nice and tight. Just need to cut off that extra tag end. There we go, all cleaned up. So we've seen that this guy can make a good barrel twist, but can it make a spinnerbait wire form? I believe it can. Another piece of fresh 35 wire. Got this reset with our posts side by side here. Now instead of putting it only an inch or so in, we actually want to push this guy all the way up, because this is going to be our R bend. This is going to be what goes down into the mold. So this is your distance that you need to think through. So I'm going to go a little bit further. Go ahead and bring that around and push that in for the R. There you go. Now we need a bend right there for our hook eye. Super simple. We're going to spin that back around and put just the end, just that little tip between those 2 posts, and pull it around. And there you go. So you'd have your blades here, hook down here. Obviously this length is totally customizable with your R bend on top. But can you do the buzz bait? I believe you can. So we take our R bend here, and we basically want to make this long section here, bend it up and perpendicular to the other wire. So we're going to put it back in our unit, kind of put some pressure on it right there, and just bend. Well, you guys can't see. Hold on. I'm just going to bend that perpendicular. There we go. So it looks like that. Now from there, we take our perpendicular, our long piece here. We're going to put it inside the 2 posts. I've reset it all the way back to the beginning. We're going to bend this portion around. So keep in mind the distance between wherever you put it. If you put it way up here, you're going to need a really small blade. If you bring it way down here, you can fit a really big blade. So whatever size you want, I'll just pick somewhere in the middle here. Between this bend and this arm, or this R bend, is going to be the distance for your blade. So we'll go with that one and bend it around. Little goofy looking, forgive me. But you get the point. Apparently I was looking for a ginormous blade on this one. There, I couldn't stand it. It was just too bad. I bent it back out. You can see a little crink there. But anyway, that's the form, right? So you can absolutely do both. You can make spinnerbait forms with this guy. You can make buzzbait forms with this guy. Or you can do a traditional barrel twist with this guy. Little over $100. It does have some pretty neat storage capability here. I didn't even talk about that, but all these little doohickeys, you know, lots of spots to store. It's got measurements on the side that are pretty convenient. When I was making inline buzz baits and anything like that, and I had all those beads and all those different pieces and swivels and whatnot, those little compartments made it super, super convenient. All right, well, we've only got one more to go, and that's the one that I use all the time here on the channel. It's the Hagens commercial wire former. I've used it on a bunch of videos, so if you've been around at all, you've probably already seen it, but we're gonna run through it anyway, just in case this is the first time for you. And there she is, my pride and joy, the Hagens commercial wire former. This guy is all metal design. Some of the other less expensive ones had plastic in them, but this is all metal. Got the little pockets here for storage. It's also the most expensive. So you get what you pay for, all metal, commercial size. You can stinking whip them out with this because it's very efficient, but it is going to run you $190. Quick note though, actually 2 quick notes. I forgot to mention something at the beginning of this video, so hang on for that. So this guy, as it's set up now, can do 18 to 41 size wire. There is a conversion kit that I also own that will do 41 to 51, so that thicker wire as well for musky stuff. It switches out a number of components on here because, like I said, it's a little bit more involved. Not very hard to use, just has a lot more pieces to it. The other thing that I forgot to mention was Barlow's wanted me to let you know that these wire forms, these options, all 4 of them are kind of hard to get at times. They have a hard time keeping them in stock. Oftentimes they're on back order from the manufacturer. So if you see something that you like, definitely go over to Barlow's, see if it's available. If it's not, you can always put your email address in there that says notify me when it's back in stock. But didn't want folks rushing out to Barlow's after seeing the video. If you see something you like and then you can't get it and you're upset and what the heck's going on, Barlow's is doing the best they can to keep them in stock, but oftentimes it's just tough. It's tough to get them from the manufacturer. So keep that in mind. First thing we need, or we are going to do rather, with the Hagens here, pick up the 035 wire just like before, and let's make a barrel twist. All right, got to keep you a little bit more zoomed out because we've got height on this guy, just how it works. So right here is our bending screws, and right here is our set screw beside it. So we're going to put that about an inch or so up. Go ahead and twist that guy around, just like our tackle maker. You're going to make a little R bend, just like that. We want to spin it around, just like before. Put the other end against that post and push back, and that makes that shape. Now what's different with this one is we're actually going to go to the top here. You guys can't see. There we go. So this guy lifts up, and inside there's a post right here. I don't know if you can see that really well. All right, I changed your camera angle. So here's the post I was talking about, right? The little guy that spins right there. So we want to take our curved end, put it on that post, and then our bent end, the straight side here, the bent end goes inside of that chuck. We want to bring it down, and that holds it in place. All right, from there we want to put light pressure down on here. We want to eventually push hard as we turn against to try to get those barrel wraps as tight as they can be. But this first turn, we don't want to push super hard. We want just enough pressure here to keep the wire form in place and get that first turn nice and kind of gentle. Once that one is done, now I'm going to push inside to try to get those barrel twists, the rest of them, as tight as possible. So we're going to shove it in and continue to twist. I'm pushing down with my left hand over here to keep the form in place. There we go. Lift it up and remove. Not too shabby. I gave those barrel twists just a little pinch with the pliers, but that looks pretty darn good. Got this little tag end here that we need to snip off. Nice and clean. This thing does a great job. Man alive. All right, that was our barrel twist. Can we take a wire and also make a spinner bait and a buzz bait form with this guy? I believe we can. So just like before, we don't want the shorter end 1 inch there. We want the shorter end on this end because this is where our hook is going to go. So bring that guy around. Make a nice little R right there. Reset our posts. Got the R facing down. Put just the tip, just the very end of our short right between those posts, and bend her around. Now she's ready for a hook. Now let's take it to a buzz bait. So just like before, we want to take our R bend here, this long shaft, we want to make it perpendicular to the other wire. So we'll put it between our posts and just push against that little post right there. Bingo bango. Now we need this long piece to come down to hold our blade. So we'll reset our posts, and just like before, the distance between here and the bottom is going to be the width of the blade that you want. So bring that down so it is parallel to the bottom. And there you go, folks. We've got ourselves a custom buzzbait form. So whether you want something specific just to inline spinners or specific just to spinnerbait forms and buzzbait forms, the size and style that you like, or maybe you want something that will do everything, I think we got something here for you. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for coming along with me on this one, and until the next time, see you guys in the shop.